the end of the night, we end up at a nightclub called Downtime. And during the time I went, some guys handing out T-shirts, as you saw in the documentary. I threw the T-shirt on. It said Death Row East. I'm not thinking, oh, red and blue and gang. I'm not thinking about any of that. I'm just throwing the T-shirt on to, support, right? And we go into the club at midnight, me and Lance and Rico. And Rico was my intern. And we go in and we're, hobnobbing and give me a shout out on the loudspeaker, like that. And then an hour later, and by the way, I have my magazines in my hand. I had a magazine called Superstar USA. And then we leave there. It's 1:00 in the morning. And we go across the street to my Jeep and Puffy pulls up. Now he's not driving. He's in the passenger seat. And I think this is another major thing that the documentary should have detailed. If Puffy's in the passenger seat and Wolf is driving, who's taking directions from who if they pull up beside my truck and Puffy is close to the driver's side? He's right here. And he's like, clearly he told Wolf to pull up to me. And that's why he was in my face. He looks and he sees Lance. He gives him a head nod. And again, they caught all this on camera, so I don't know why they didn't do what they had to do. But I understand. Time versus I get it. And he gives Lance a nod. I understand why you gave Lance a nod. You want to see who the hell is with me. Because you want to see how deep the threat or the pushback might be, right? Rico's in the back. He already gave him a nod. Rico's a fan. I'm just going to tell you from door. Everybody's a fan of Puffy. Not I. He says to me, "What's up, bitch?" And I'm like, "Yo, bro, keep your drama to yourself. I don't want no trouble, whatever. Everybody knows you're trouble. Nah, you're a bitch." And so he said that. And what he did was Wolf backed the car up. And I figured they just letting us out of the parking space because they had me blocked in. There was a car in front of me, a car in back of me. The street was mobbed, by the way. When I say it was mobbed, it wasn't when we went in the club. When we went in the club, we walked in front of the line. They let me by because that's a promoter's respect. They let you in the club. And when I came out, the street was mobbed. There was a whole party because they couldn't get in the club because it was sold out. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So basically, I'm just trying to give you the atmosphere. At 1:00 in the morning, the people got their cars out there. The music is blasting. And Puffy in a convertible sports car, expensive convertible sports car, pulls up beside my Jeep. And he's like, "What's up, bitch?" And then they back out and let me out. When they did, I pulled out and I pulled to the stoplight. And Lance is like, "Yo, he's behind you." I'm like, "Well, what's he gonna do? I'm in a truck. Like, what is he gonna do? He's in a sports car. What is he gonna do?" So I thought he was gonna take the parking space, Kadisha, but he basically was following me. So I'm like, okay. So now we're at Herald Square. Now, Herald Square, for all of you who don't know, is where the Macy's Day Parade takes place every year for decades, right? Kadisha, it's Monday night and the streets are barren. Like nobody's out there. But what they do is they pull the sports car over to cut me off, Kadisha. Kadisha, clearly he was taking leadership, he was taking guidance, or the Wolf was taking guidance from Puffy because Puffy was not driving. Mm-hmm. And so when they pulled us off the road, me and Lance got out the truck. I figured it's going to be a fight. No. What happened was there were 4 other cars with them, Kadisha, and they were loaded with his entourage, his goons. And that was the threat. It was the idea that all these guys, like 12 guys deep, and it was just like, I'm not fighting all of these guys. And Lance was not carrying that night. But what happened was Lance yelled, "Gun, gun!" And when he did, 2 shots popped off at the same time. And within split seconds, I jumped back in the truck. Puffy and I weren't even this close to one another. I believe that the bullets didn't hit me because he was in the way. I don't know how I escaped the situation without being harmed. I could have got stomped out. I could have gotten.
This was very common for Diddy with his entourage. Like if you guys go back, like the video I just did the other day of all Diddy's charges, he usually did that with his entourage, where the accusations of that with his entourage. So that is very common to hear.
Macy's in the dressing room. Steve Stout, right? Steve Stout. You know, it's
Roger Millis, the TV host, entourage.
It's always his entourage. In fact, Red, who was Cassie's friend, talks about him and his entourage. So he's always Danielle Smith, entourage, coming up to Vibe magazine. But the money and the goonage, the gang members that used to hang with him, that was the threat. And so I was able to jump back in my truck, and that's when the car chase ensued. And that's when we ended up going down a one-way, and we're going on the sidewalk, and we're doing high speed, and I'm on two wheels at one point, and I'm literally like fighting for my life, fighting for the lives of all three of us. But I'm behind. There was one point that Lance grabbed the steering wheel so I didn't hit a fire hydrant. I mean, it was ridiculous. At 1 o'clock in the morning, I ran a red light so that I could lose them. And I did. And like, by the grace of God, I escaped alive. And it's been sitting on my soul for decades. And I'm not afraid to tell everybody that I was effing afraid to come out, to go to the police,